Hello everyone, and welcome to the recap of all things track of the day for March of 2026. Whether it be the authors of said tracks, the styles of them, Cup of the Day winners, world record holders, or many of the other various stats, I will have them all here for you today. As always, the first category we will look at is the authors themselves, because without them, we would not have the tracks in the first place. The month of March, just like February, would have 33 different authors, which again is down from the highest this year, which was 38 in January. March, however, did see an increase of authors making multiple tracks in the month compared to February, with 3 authors having 2 tracks each, with those authors being Fuente, Glory, and Taco. Still, Artroy's 3 tracks from January will remain the most in a month this year. March would also give us 11 first-time authors, this being 1 fewer than last month, and that includes tracks from Aethel, Beluga, DM, Rapids, Pama, Quibs, Rhino, Scorply, Terra, Yeeter, and Wooweer. So congratulations to all the first-time authors and all who had a track chosen this month, but what styles of tracks did they actually make? The month of March would feature a fair amount of different styles and be nearly on par with both January and February, with 15 different styles in total. Leading the way yet again and for the 3rd straight month in a row was Mixed, which just like last month was featured 5 times. Right behind Mixed we have Dirt tracks, which appeared 4 times, followed by Dirt Tech, Full Speed, and Ice, which were each featured 3 times. Grass, Speed Fun, and Tech would each be featured twice, leaving 7 tracks of other various styles. Now, surprisingly, one of the 3 Ice tracks this month would result in the easiest author medal, and maybe unsurprisingly, another Ice track would be the most challenging, which leads us into our next category, Author Medal Difficulty. As far as author medal difficulty goes, March would end up being the toughest month so far on average, but there were still a few outliers. Like I previously mentioned, one of the 3 Ice tracks, notably Equals P by Slidelock, would be the easiest, with nearly 2,900 players having its author medal at its day's end, and these 2,900 players makes it the 3rd easiest AT on the year. The next easiest map behind this was the Old Vale, in which about 2,500 players had the AT, followed by just over 1,900 on the track NAVC Viper. Now moving on to the more challenging side of things, and like I said previously, the most difficult author medal of March also came on an Ice track, and that was Time Warp, made by Glory, Scarzor, and XLRB, which saw only 15 players getting its author medal. Following Time Warp, the next most difficult AT came on the track Gotta Be Done, which only 18 players had the AT, and then we have Skylander, which saw only 23 players. But speaking of the track Time Warp, it would also be one of the shortest tracks in the month. Going strictly by author times, there was a difference of about 22 seconds between the longest and shortest tracks of the month. Starting with the longest track, we have to go back to March 2nd with Beluga's rally car track, King of the Hill Climb, which had an author time of 58.399 seconds. This time also makes it the 2nd longest AT on the year. Now as for the shortest track of the year, that would come on the aforementioned track Time Warp, which had an AT time of 36.536 seconds, and that time makes it the 3rd shortest track of the year. For March as a whole, the average author time was 45.048 seconds, which is just 7 thousandths of a second shorter than February's average time of 45.055 seconds, and it will bring the average AT time for the year up to 45.021 seconds. However, with all this said, the authors, the styles, the ATs, how well were the tracks actually received by the community? The month of March did not fare the best as far as the community ratings go, with only 13 of the 31 tracks having a positive score, making this the first time this year that more tracks scored in the negatives. Now for these 13 tracks, the highest rated one came on Taurus's tech track Ricochet, which received a score of 1.1, equating to a high plus and being 0.4 score from a plus rating. This score of 1.1 does tie February's highest scoring track, but will once again fall short of January's, which received a 1.4. As for the other 12 tracks that scored in the positives, 7 of them also received a plus rating, and 5 of them resulted in neutrals. And with another 3 tracks having a score of 0, that means there were 15 other tracks that had negative scores. For these, the lowest for the second month in a row would come on a track made by Fuente, this one being their track named Icy Rotations, which saw a score of -2, equating to a minus rating. That -2, however, is slightly better than last month's worst scoring track, which received a -2.2, and ties for the third worst rated track for the year. As for the other 14 negative scores, 1 also resulted in a -, 10 were minuses, and 3 resulted in neutrals. Now finally, with the negatives outweighing the positives this month, the average track score was a -0.23, which is still a low neutral, but it is also the lowest score a month has received this year. Nonetheless, good tracks or bad tracks, there were still plenty of players joining and playing Cup of the Days throughout the month. Cup of the Days in March would see some highs and some lows, but on average would see a slight decrease in player counts compared to February, losing just over 100 participants per cup, dropping from about 2,275 per day down to 2,168. Now, the most popular day for participation in the month, and by a decent margin too, was Sundays, which averaged 2,347 players, and Mondays were the next closest, averaging 2,202. Now, for the third straight month, the least popular days continue to be Fridays and Saturdays, which had 2,113 players and 1,933 players respectively. Moving on to individual days, the highest number of participants in a cup this month would come on the very first day with Sir Bresler's mixed track Sire, which had 3,004 players. That total will also make it the highest player count in a cup this year, surpassing Prof 10's track from January 27th, which had 2,858 players. Behind this and releasing on the following day was King of the Hill Climb, which had 2,564 participants, followed by 2,439 on the track Quick Time of the Day. As for the lowest player count in a Cup of the Day this month, that came on March 29th with Fuente's ice track Icy Rotations, which had just 1,678 players. And with that, it'll make it the lowest player count in a cup this year, surpassing Artroy's track from January 12th, which had 1,770 players. The next fewest behind this were on Ethel's Full Speed track, which had 1,900 players, and then once again, Fuente's Speed Fun track had 1,908. So again, March did see some highs and some lows for participation in its Cup of the Days, but can the same be said for who was actually winning them? The month of March would fall right in between the previous 2 months with the total number of unique winners, with a total of 19. At the very top, there was one player who outdid everyone, and that someone would be Barbos, who was able to win 6 Cup of the Days. These 6 wins, however, are still down from Grenadi's 10-win domination in January, but they will still give Barbos the second most wins in a month this year, surpassing Scrappy's 5 wins from January. Behind Barbos, we once again see Grenadi with 4 total wins, followed by Propanoia, who had 3. Lingo and Neek round out the multiple winners with 2 wins apiece. There were also a couple of win streaks going on throughout the month as well, with Barbos again taking the crown here, having a win streak of 3, and that ties them for the highest of the year. The only other player with a win streak this month would be Grenadi, which ended at 2. Moving on to first-time winners, and just like February, March would have 4, with those first-time winners being Elensar, H-Bill, NX, and Sparky. So congrats to all first-time winners and all the fast learners this month, but who would come away as the top time attack hunter? The month of March would see a fairly big decrease in unique world record holders from February, dropping by 6 from 25 to 19. Therefore, March would most likely see an increase in the amount a single player would earn, and that would be the case as Propanoia, for the 3rd straight month in a row, will top the list with a total of 8 world records. Now, not only does this beat their 2 world records from last month, but will also top their 5 from January and therefore will become the most anyone has achieved in a month this year. Other players with multiple world records include Levon, who had 4, as well as Azox and Chudon, who each had 2. Propanoia would also have multiple world record streaks throughout the month, including 2 streaks of 2, as well as a streak of 3, and that streak of 3, again, is the most in a month this year. But with that, we will conclude the Track of the Day recap for March of 2026. As always, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, be sure to give it a like and subscribe so you don't miss out on any in the future. Thank you all so much for watching, and I hope to see you all here next time with April's recap.